Hello, my name is Tyler, and welcome back to my video blog. It's still raining cats and dogs here in Seattle, so I want to share with you one of the biggest tax mistakes I see a lot of people make. Thankfully, my clients don't make this mistake, but a lot of people have asked me this, or you'll hear people ask. The question is, should I buy that new car? Should I buy that G Wagon? Should I buy a badass new truck by the end of the year so that way I can write it off? And my answer is, do you need it? So, if I can only think of one way, in my opinion, that a G Wagon makes sense, and again, I will say this is my personal advice. This is not your tax, your legal, or your accounting advice. Please consult your CPA. But the only time I would say it's worth it to buy a G Wagon at the end of the year so that you could spend 150 grand to save 50 grand on taxes, I would say the only way that makes sense is if that is truly your life's dream. If you were a kid and you always dreamed about having a G Wagon, maybe your hero had one, or someone you saw in a movie, or your mom, or someone that you really admired and it means so much to you, I would say that's about the only time it makes sense to buy a G Wagon to save on taxes and write it off. Now, of course, there's going to be people saying, well, what about 179? What about bonus? What about this? Isn't it a heavy utility vehicle so I can fully write it off? Those things are true, but it just doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money to save a little bit on taxes because that's just the nature of it. Now, you can read through a ton of business books like I have. You can see there's a whole bunch here. There's so many good ones. In here, you will never see, yes, it makes sense to buy a G Wagon. Again, I think there's a deeper issue there, getting into people's egos. A lot of times, people in different industries where you have to sell yourself think, man, if I'm driving a nice car, someone will probably want to pay me more. That may be true for some people, but I don't think that's very true for most folks, and probably not many folks you would want to associate with if you're going just off status. I think, coming up on 2026, status is not what's going to impress people. It's going to continue to be how authentic is this person to themselves and what quality of work can they do. So, no, I don't think buying a G Wagon is super helpful. I will say, if you feel like you could get a good deal or even a deal on a vehicle that would truly help your business, that could be a great thing to purchase before the end of the year. I'll give you a personal example. I have a client who runs a premier shower glass and design business. He is an amazing business owner, has been kicking butt this year. He would be a great person to buy a van before the end of the year because his business is growing like crazy. He could actually utilize that van because he has enough employees to where they would get a true return on that capital investment. Now, a G Wagon, what's the return on that? I mean, maybe, but I really don't think there is. So, yeah, I just wanted to make this video and share some thoughts I had on why a G Wagon or writing off a vehicle is probably not the best case for a lot of folks. I'd love to hear if anyone has any opposing thoughts. Feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to talk about this. But my hope is that people can spend their money in a way that best serves them. And again, if it's really your dream to buy a G Wagon, man, go for it. Get after it. But if you're just doing it to save a little bit on taxes, then math ain't mathin', my friend. This is Tyler. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.